Hey everyone, welcome to this crash course on JavaScript operators. In this video, we are going to dive into operators in JavaScript, what they are, how they work, and by the end, you will know how to use them to manipulate data, perform logical checks, and much more. But first, what are operators in JavaScript? Operators are symbols that allow you to perform different operations on values. These values are called operands. With operators, you can perform calculations, assign values to variables, compare values, and even combine conditions. We are going to be looking at different types of operators that include arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logical operators, conditional operators that are mostly referred to ternary operators, and as well the last one, which is Typeof Operator. So let us start with arithmetic operators. We use arithmetic operators to perform basic math, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. So let's break them down one by one, as we will be showing them within our VS Code and trying to do some operations and also consoling them within our browser. But first, let us go to our VS Code. Right now I'm in my VS Code and I have my folder of JS operators open. I'll just go ahead and create a file called index.html. So this will serve as a purpose of connecting our JavaScript file, which is index.js, to our HTML, so that we can view all the JavaScript that we are going to be writing in the browser. So I'll just go ahead and create some basic HTML, and then I'll connect my JavaScript by using a script tag. Then I need to provide a source attribute, and remember, this is where our path to our JS file goes. If your JS file is nested into another folder, then please make sure that you write the path of that JS folder or that JS file that is nested in a certain folder very well. So mine is in the root directory, so I'll just go ahead and do index.js. So now, to make sure that my JavaScript is now connected to my index.html, I'll just go ahead and try to type in some basic JavaScript like console.log, hello world. Then I'll just go ahead and open my index.html in my browser using Go Live. As you can see, I don't have anything. I can maybe just create in here an h1, and I would say this is going to be called JS operators. So you can see now our HTML is visible within our browser. If we inspect, or if we open our developer tools and go to the console, then we can see that our JavaScript was well connected to our HTML. So now we can start with the first arithmetic operator, which is addition. So I'll just go ahead in my index.html, .js, then I'll just do arithmetic operators. Then let us start with the first one, which is addition. So to the addition, it's the normal operation that you've been using so many times. So addition is usually represented with a plus sign, and let's say if we say let sum be equal to 10 plus 5. So this is the addition. This is the addition operator here. So this is how we write an addition operator, and you can observe this within our console by doing console.log sum. If we observe this within our console, we can see that the addition or the sum of 10 and 5 is 15. So that is what we call an addition operator. Then let us just go ahead and also look at the subtraction operator. So this is written like this, subtraction, and its symbol is a minus. Let me just put here also a symbol which is plus, and I would just say let the difference of maybe 10 and 5, and then I can as well console.log the difference, and to make sure that we differentiate these results of different operations, we can just say here we have a sum, and then here we can say we have a difference. Right, maybe let us just do addition, and then here we do subtraction. I hope this is going to be clear. So we can now see in our subtraction, whereby we are implementing our subtraction or operation, we have a 5, which is 10 minus 5, then that is equal to 5. If we change the value and make it 6, of course we shall get a difference of 4. So now let us continue with the multiplication one. So for the multiplication, we use a star sign. So this is the sign we normally use for multiplication. So then, to give an example, we can maybe say the product. So the product is actually a multiplication between two numbers. So we can say maybe 10 multiplied by 5. We can even have more than actually 3 numbers. So if we have this, we can now console.log this, and we can see that, let's first say this is going to be the product, and print the product here. So we can see that now the product is 150. That is to say 10 plus 5, which is 50, and then 50 plus 3, I mean multiplied by 3, that is 150. So now let us look at the next one, which is the division. I'm actually being quick on this because we are all used to these ones. And this is symbolized with a forward slash. If we say we can, let us now use constant instead of let. So the only difference between let and constant is that for let we can reassign but not redeclare, and for constant we can neither do both. We can't reassign and we can't redeclare. So please be mindful about the differences of these keywords that are used to define a variable or that are used to declare a variable. So now for division, we can give an example and we can say the quotient. So the quotient is the product got after division. So the quotient of 10 and 2, this we can console it and see the result, and we can say the division. Let me actually here also have multiplication instead of product. So division, and now we can write the quotient. So we will see in our browser that the quotient is now 5. Because 10 divided by 2, it is 5. Now let us look at another operation that is under arithmetic operators, and that one is called modulus. So the modulus, as most of you already know, this gives us the remainder of the division. So if you have a certain number divided by another number, whatever remains as the remainder is called the modulus. So please, this is also under arithmetic operators. That is the modulus operator, which is very useful when you want to know the remainder of a division. This one can help us to verify if some numbers are even numbers or odd numbers and so on. So now let us go ahead with the modulus, which is represented with a symbol of percentage. So we can just say constant, and we can say remainder, because whatever is the result is the remainder, right? So the modulus of 10 and 3, we can say 10 divided by 3, that should be how much? That should be 3, and the remainder should be 1. So if we do console.log, and then here we say modulus, and then we console our modulus, our remainder, then we should see that we have a modulus of 1, as I already told you. So let us now continue with another operator under arithmetic operators. So this is called this is the increment and decrement. Let us look at this at once. So if we say constant, Let me give you a simple example for an increment. We can use actually counters. So let counter equal to 0, and then we can observe the increment if we just say counter plus plus. And this, if we console this counter, we can actually see our product, our results. Let's say increment here, and then we can see that our counter will have incremented with a 1. So you can see increment is equal to 1. So why this? So this is actually the same as we can say counter is going to be equal to counter plus 1. So the shorthand of all of this is just counter plus plus, and this is what we call an increment operator. So now let us look at a decrement operator. We can maybe say counter, let us call this counter 1 to make it more simple. So this is counter 2. Let us say now our count is going to begin from 10, because this time around we are going to be doing decrement. So we can just do like this. This is now decrement. So this is counter 2 instead of just counter. So this is the same as, again, as counter 2 equals counter 2 minus 1. And we expect the result of this within the console to be 9, because that is to say we are going to have 10 minus 1, which is 9, right? So now this is going to be the decrement, and our result will be counter 2. So this one was counter, this one was counter 1. Yes, perfect. So we can say our decrement now is 1, because this is the same as counter 2 minus 1. Counter 2 will be 10, then this is 10 minus 1, which is going to be 9. So those are arithmetic operators. We've just seen so far addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, increment, and decrement at the same time. So I hope you well understand how arithmetic operators work, and these are normally used within our mathematical subject, or within our math subjects. Most of us already know this. So now let us go to our second type of operators, which is assignment operators. Assignment operators are used to assign values to variables, as we've been using it within defining or declaring variables. The simplest one is the equal operator. So this is the simplest one. We can just say equal operator. Equal operator. So the equal operator is symbolized with just an equal sign, and most of you already know this and have been using it. So whenever we are declaring a variable, we usually use an equal operator. So this is how we use it. If we are declaring maybe x to be equal to 9, or x to be assigned to 9, this is the assignment operator that we use, which is the equal operator. So most of us have already been using this when declaring values. You can use val, not only let, you can as well use constant. But the assignment operator will have to be used, which is the equal operator. I don't need to console this one, because you already know that if we console this, we shall just get a 9. So now let's move on with other assignment operators. We have another one called additional. Let me just comment this. We have another one called addition assignment. So it's almost the same as the equal sign, but it has a plus and an equal. And this is now used to add and assign the result back to the variable. It is used, I repeat again, it is used to add and assign the result back to the variable. And this is why we need to use a let keyword, because this time around we'll be needing to reassign. And let and val are the only keywords that we can use on variables that can be reassigned. Let's use let. Let's say if z is equal to 9, if z is equal to 5, let's say if we now just say z plus and equal to 5, like this. So now this is now going to give us a result that will be equal to 10, since we are adding 5 to 10. So if we console this z, we can see, let me just put here the type of operator we are using. So if we console z, we see it's a 10. If we have here 2, then we are going to get a 7, right? So this is the same as actually as we can do z equals z plus 5. So this is the same thing exactly. So now let us move on to the third one, which is the subtraction assignment. It is almost the same as addition, so we just do it like this. Then if we say now let y equals 6, and now we just say y minus equal 2 or 3, let us just use 3. And if we console the result of y, this means that we shall get, let me first put here, this is going to actually help us differentiate the consoles. So this is going to be subtraction assignment. So we can see now we have a 3, because this is the same as y equals y minus 6. No, equals, this is the same as saying y, yes, minus that 3, not minus 6. So now our y will be equal to 6, and then if we subtract 3, it means we're going to remain with a 3. So another one is the multiplication assignment, which is almost still the same as what we are doing. So multiplication assignment, now the symbol is going to be a star and an equal. So if we just say let a equals to 3 or to 4, and now we can just say a multiplied and equal to 5, and this is the same as actually saying a equals a multiplied by 6. So the shorthand is this one, which is now going to be the multiplication assignment. So the result of this one, if we just come here and we say, so I'll just copy this to make it, to just have this go quickly. So now the result of a, now we should expect the result of a now to be 4 multiplied by 6, which is 24. Now you can see we did not get 24. No, we actually made a mistake here. This is 5 instead of 6. So this is 4 multiplied by 5, which is 20. That is correct. So now the last one in this, the last one for the assignment operators, now it is going to be the division assignment. So the division assignment is also done the same way we just did the multiplication and others. So now if we just say let b equal to maybe 9, and then we can say b like this, and then just put there maybe 3. Then if we console this, it means that we are going to have, as we've been doing it for others, this is the same as b divided by 3. So now we are going to have our division assignment here. Then we can have our b printed here. So now if we look at the results, we are supposed to get a 3. So because 9 divided by 3, then it is 3. Yes, perfect. Now we're done with the assignment operators, which is comprised of equal operators, addition assignment, subtraction assignment, and multiplication assignment and division assignment as well. So let us move on now to the third one. So the third one is the comparison operators. These are operators that are used to compare two values, and these specifically return true or false. You remember when we were studying data types, so true and false are considered as booleans. So booleans are true and false. So as we've just defined it, comparison operators return a true or false value. So one example that we can obviously look at is the equal. So this equal to is not the same as the equal that we just saw in the assignment operator, but this one is symbolized by two equal signs, and this will turn a boolean true or false, and this is how we use it. So let us say we have maybe constant a equals 5, and we say another constant b equals 6. Now if we just say z, if we define a third one, a third value, and we say this is going to be maybe this one, like this. So you don't have to be confused with this. Let me explain. So if we now do console.z, we should get either true or false. So let me say inside here a and b are equal. So to make sure that we actually have a better difference, we can use instead of equal, we can use equivalent. It is better. So let us say equivalent to differentiate it actually from the first one that we saw in the assignment operator, even though they're the same, even though the definition is the same, but the symbols are different, right? The assignment operator is just one equal sign, and the equivalent operator is just two equal signs. So a and b are equivalent, like this. So now we should get a true or false. In actual sense, these are not equivalent because one is 5 and the other is 6, right? So now, if we look at in our console, you can see, let me explain this line number 5. Line number 5, this equal sign is standing for assignment. We are assigning a variable z to the result that comes from a equivalent to b, right? So this is supposed to produce a false, therefore z will be false. You can see now we got a false, right? So we got a false value because 5 and 6 are not equivalent. But again, what does the equivalent mean? So the equivalent means that this will say a and b are equal physically, if I would say, like the way you can obviously see it. Are they equal? So, and with just our eyes, 5 and 6 are not equal. And again, or I would just say are equal physically in values. This will make more sense. This is what the two equal signs or equivalent sign mean. And there is a second one that is almost the same as that one, which is also under comparison operators, and that one is called strict equivalence. Strict equivalence, like this, or strict equivalent to. So, and this one is 3 equal signs. The 3 equal signs will mean that, let me put their comments. This will mean that, let me actually now use multi-line comments so that you also get to see how we can use multi-line comments. So this will mean that a and b are equal in value and A and B are the same, are of the same data type. So this means A and B should be of the same data type. Let me zoom out a little bit so that you can obviously see that, because we need to see the above. So this will mean that A and B should be of the same data type. A has to, if A is a number and then B needs to be a number. And then saying that A and B are of equal value, it means that if A is equal to 5, then B should also be equal to 5. Otherwise, it will mean that it is false. So now, if we try to use the same example above, we can say constant now y will be equal to A, strictly equivalent to B. So these ones are not strictly equivalent if we look at them. So we will now get a false. Let me now console this. I'll just grab this and change it from here. A and B are strictly equivalent. Then I'll console y instead of z. Alright, so now we'll see that we also have a false. So this false is coming from the fact that 6 and 5 are not equal. But let us try now to use equal numbers. If we do 5 and 5, this statement should be true and the other statement should also be true. You can see this is going to be true. But if we say, let us do this one now, let us put here some quotes. So it means that this one is a number, but this one is a string. We remember whenever we have either double quotes or single quotes or even backticks, that item or that value will be considered as a string. So you can see this is 5 and this is 5, which is a string. If we come and look at the first one, it will be false, it will be true, and the other one will be false. Now you can let us explain that very well. So this one is going to be true because these are all 5. It doesn't look at the data type. They are all 5. It doesn't look at if one is a number and the other is a string. It will just consider them as equal. So these are equivalent. That is why we got a true here. But for the strict equivalence, remember it will look at the values if they are the same, and it also look at the data type. So the values are all 5, but the data type, one is a number and the other is a string. That is why we got a false here, which means they are not strictly equivalent. They can only be strictly equivalent if A and B are of the same value and if A and B are of the same data type. That is the difference between the equivalence with 2 equal signs and strictly equivalence with 3 equal signs. Please make sure you understand this very clear. And you can try it out and continue playing around with it and see how it works. So the other comparison operators now include the opposites of these. So these are going to be, I won't be giving much example on them. So these ones are going to be, let me put the comment, these ones are going to be not equivalent, which is going to be the same, which is going to be now this one, and this one is going to be the opposite of this one above, right? So, and that one is called a not equal. So now you can try to play around with it. If this one produced false, if this one produced true and the other one this one should produce false, it is the opposite of the first one, right? And the fourth one should be not strict equivalent to equivalent, which is going to be like this. Yes, you can try and play around with that one and see how it will work for you. So the other comparison operators now include the ones that you already know. There is greater than, which is like this. So please, for me, the way I usually get this into my mind to not confuse greater than and less than. Let me just write less than so that you can see how it looks. So, because most of the people have been confusing this for so long. So I actually consider the one where the angle is is looking at me or is facing me to be the greater one, and where the angle now is facing the other side to be less. That is how that is the formula I actually use to differentiate the two. So there is also greater or equal. There is also greater or equal. This is the seventh one, greater or equal, which is shown like this. It is greater or equal like this, and there is also less or equal. Less or equal. So it is the less sign and the equal sign, right? Less and the equal sign. So these ones also produce, or they result into a boolean, true or false. Let me give you an example. If you say constant a equals 5, and we say constant, so the reason why we are getting this is because we already used an a up here, so we cannot redeclare the same variable when we are using constant. So thank God that we got to even use this one so that you can see how it works. So let me say maybe I have another alphabet. Let me just use console in general without actually declaring them, because this one is also possible. So I can say this is the greater than, then here I can now have in 6 greater than 9. Is this true? Is 6 greater than 9? 6 is not greater than 9. Then this statement should give us a false. That is why we have a false here, right? So if now we do the same thing and put there less than, so you can see this is going to produce a true, because 6 is less than 9. And if we had to use less than or equal, or greater than or equal, less than or equal, it means that even if we have, let's say less than or equal, it means this one will be true, but as well this one will also be true. But remember to put here or equal. This one should be true because we have or equal, and also this one should be true, right? Let us put there a 6 and we see this is going to be true, less than or equal. And the same should apply to greater than or equal. So this is now the third operator, which is comparison operator, and we've seen that it contains the equivalent sign or the equivalent operator, which is only 2 equal signs, and this one considers the value. It doesn't actually consider the data type. But for the 3 ones which are strict equivalent, these ones consider both the values to be equal and as well the data type to be the same. So this is why it has the strict word. So there is also their opposites, which is not equivalent and not strict equivalent. There is also the greater than, less than, greater or equal, and less than or equal that you're mostly used to. These are the things that we learned in our primary mathematics. So please make sure you understand them very careful. They still come in programming, and these ones are going to be used in most of the cases in our system when we start using these JavaScript codes within building systems, let's say your backend and so on. So now let us look at the fourth one. So now the fourth one is logic operators. So logic operators let you combine multiple conditions. So they use the AND operator and as well the OR operator. So let us start with the AND operator. Just go ahead with some comments and then AND like this operator. And this is symbolized by 2 ampersands. So this signs, that's how they are called. So these 2 ampersands make up what we call AND. And the way AND is used, it means that if both conditions are true, then it means that it will return a true. Or in other words, where we use AND operator, it returns true if both conditions are true. So let us have an example. Let us say maybe we have, let us first start with some simple ones without even and operator. So let us say between true and, remember this is how we use it, and false. This one should result into false, because every time you have true and false, it means it's a false. And operator returns true if both are true. So therefore, if you have one of the two being false, then the result should be false. You can see it even here. But if we had a true here, then the result should be true, right? And you can obviously see it here. Let us see. I just refreshed. You can see it's a true. How about if we have false and false? We are not actually going to have true, because it is only true if both of them are true. This will still be false. You can see it here. So now, let us give a real world example. Let us say maybe we have a constant is adult. Maybe we are talking about a certain person is adult, and we say it is false. Constant is a student, and we say true. So if we say maybe this person we are talking about is John, if we just say that John fulfills both, let us say fulfills being both an adult and a student. Does he? So if we now we can write it like this: the student. But again, before we even look at the results, what do we expect to be the result? John is a student and an adult, but we got here an adult being false and the student being true. So and considers both of them to be true. If one of them is false, then it means the final result will be false. Therefore, John is not. That is why we got a false, right? So now let us now look at the OR operator. OR operator. So this one is symbolized with the two vertical straight slashes. So now this one returns true if at least one of the conditions is true. So if now we look at the above example, we can now use the same thing like this. We just copy and paste it. If we say John fulfills, we can't say John fulfills both because both goes with and. John, we can say John is an adult or a student. This one, the result is going to be true. Result will be true because one of them is true, and or just focuses on having one of them being true. So, and the way we can write it here, it's not like this. We need to use these vertical lines. Then we'll see that it is true because John is an adult or a student. We can see that he is a student, even though he's not an adult. But we just need to have one condition as true. So that is the logical operators, which are and or. These are commonly used when we are writing different functionalities within our JavaScript systems. So now let us look at the fifth one, which is the conditional operator that is mostly referred as a ternary operator. So let me just clear the screen. I'll just say ternary operator. So now this one is a shorthand way of writing if-else statements even though we haven't yet looked at if-else statements, but again, I'll just explain so that you understand it very well. So it allows you to make decisions in one line. Let's say, usually this is how the syntax is done. So let me just comment it. So there is a condition, a certain condition. Then this ternary operator has two signs, the question mark and the colon. So this is the first expression. So there is a condition. Then after the question mark, we have an expression 1. Then after the colon, we have an expression 2. So let me just give an example. So the better example would be maybe let age be equal to 18 and let can vote. As you know, like most of the people can vote when they're 18 maybe. Let us say can vote is equal to age greater or equal to 18. That is the most condition in most of the people. So we just want to know if somebody can vote. So then we'll just say they can vote if age is greater or equal to 18. Then this one will just print us yes. That is the first expression. So this first expression should be true. It should be true. Then the second expression should be false. Then this one goes with no. So let me explain again. If the age is 18 or greater, it means that that person can vote. If it is something else, let's say less than 18, then they cannot vote. So the way this syntax is written, this means that this is a true expression. Has to be a true expression, and this one has to be a false expression. Alright, now let us now look at our last one, which is Typeof. I'll just clear the screen and then we shall go ahead with our last one. So our last operator now is Typeof Operator. We've been using Typeof, but we didn't know it was an operator. So now it is your time to know that this is also an operator. So Typeof Operator is used to check the type of a value, and this is very simple to do. So let us have maybe this number. Let's just say let a equal to 5. And let us say constant b equals to a name John. Now let us say constant c equals to true. Now let's say constant d equals to maybe undefined. Now let us say e equals to just an array like this. So we can now find the type of these values here. If we start with a, we can see that this is going to print our a, which is 5, but we're interested in knowing its type. So we use Typeof and then brackets. Inside the brackets we put in our value. Then you can see that the type of it is a number. If we now go ahead and put in b, this is a number, this was the result, it's a number, and this one should print us a string. You can see it's of data type string, and this one should print us boolean because it is of data type boolean. Therefore, if we put in c here, we shall get a boolean. Now this one should give us a type of undefined. Undefined is also a type, as we saw. So now you can see it will give us undefined. And this one should give us a type of object, even though we know it's an array. Arrays are objects. So these ones, most of the students actually get confused about it. So we can say it is an object. So Typeof is used to determine or to check the type of a value. And by the way, we can as well use Typeof without putting their brackets. If we just say type of maybe e, like this, we should get the same result. So you don't have to bother putting their brackets if you just have one value. But again, you can always use brackets to make it more readable, right? So now we have finished our JavaScript operators, and we are coming to the end of our sessions. And to wrap up, so JavaScript operators are into the following. We have arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, logic operators, ternary operators, and the last one, typeof operators. So make sure you practice these to get comfortable with how they work in real code, and this is actually going to be more helpful to you if you understand this, and the near coming sessions and crash courses are going to be easy to understand. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more JavaScript content. I'll see you in the next crash course. Bye everyone, and happy coding.